Right, hello, all you glorious, marvellous, wonderful people. I have got a little bit of a different podcast for you today. One of you lovely humans messaged me and asked me if I would do a podcast about Sunday lists. And I thought, oh my God, that is such a good idea because Sunday lists, if you know what they are, I hope they're still a very big part of your life. They're very much a big part of my life, but I don't talk about them so much. So I am going to talk about them today. Now, if you are new here, you might not know that I used to run something called the Happy Gang, very long time ago, and it was it was very cool actually. It was like a very cheap life coaching service. I kind of everything I've always done has always been designed to provide like affordable options for people who can't necessarily, who can't necessarily afford them. I've always found that the people who need help the most are normally the ones who can't access it the most. So I've always tried to kind of like bridge that gap. So I was providing like thousands of pounds of like life coaching service a month to people and they were paying me £5. Now from that we developed these Sunday lists and these daily lists. Now the Sunday lists were a game changer. They're a bit like the new moon lists if you started doing them. They are something that even now I don't always get to write a daily list. Like sometimes life's just, it's busy, but whatever happens, I make sure I write these Sunday lists. Now I've got, if you're watching this on YouTube, I've got my journal here. Um, these are actually available. I designed these journals. These have been designed and kind of like they have grown and changed over the years because I found some things work, some things don't work. We like some things, we don't like some things. But what I love about this journal is, I mean, I guess it's kind of actually tailored to me, but it's tailored to us who have been in the Happy Gang. We kind of get the power of these journal prompts, and yeah, it's just being designed to help you with your manifestation, law of attraction. Anyway, these are available on Amazon. However, as always, full transparency. I don't know what Amazon. I don't. Do you know what the thing is? I don't think Amazon have realised I can see them selling my journals for a higher price than I've actually priced them at, which is ludicrous. So I've priced these at like I think they were £23.99, maybe £24.99. I've seen Amazon selling them for £32.99. Who in their fucking right mind is going to spend £32.99 on a 6-month journal? I fucking wouldn't. Anyway, I've turned it into a digital thing, right? So as much as I love this journal, I don't know if I'm even going to buy any more of them. It's clearly not flipping cost effective the rate at which I get through them. So there's a printable version of this, so you can print off this and just print off as many sheets as you want. But if you wonder what I'm looking at, it is the hard copy of my journal, which again is available on Amazon, which you'd think I'd be promoting, but honestly, fuck Amazon. If you ever even knew the markup as well on the journals have been a progression. Like I used to print them myself and post them myself, and that stopped, and then I moved to Amazon. But financially, from that £24.99 I charge you, they give me £3.96. That's what I make off each journal. So fuck knows where they're getting this paper from. Anyway, point is I wouldn't tell you to go and buy it on Amazon, but I am going to talk you through my lists and not through my list, but I'm going to talk you through what the lists are so you can start to do these yourself should you want to, because like I said, they are just really powerful. And I mean, if you're new to the law of attraction and all of this stuff, like basically you can do certain things to, I'm not going to say you're going to be able to change every aspect of your life, and it's not literal magic, but you can, through these lists and through changing your mindset, actually start to create yourself a better life. I am proof of that. Okay, like literally I am proof that you can change your whole life with enough like application. Anyways, I'm going to go through these lists because these are things I do every single week, and I just, like I said, this lovely lady had requested it, and this will be here forever for you to draw a reference to should you need to. Anyway, so it is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 headers I've got here, right? So, and again, you don't even need this journal to do this. I used to say to people, just get a random piece of paper, it will do. It's actually the act of you putting pen to paper, and I cannot express how important it is. Again, if you're new to the law of attraction, you might just be like, oh, not really understand how these very little things actually make a difference. So you writing this out with the physical pen in your physical hand and actually makes a very big difference versus you just getting your phone and typing it into your notes. It's a very different energy. So, and this might all sound a little bit witchy, but you know what? It's not called spelling for a reason. So I'm going to help you put some good spells into your life. So the first thing you want to do every Sunday is I write an achievement list, because And it literally just, the header is last week I achieved, and then you go and fill up that box with everything you've done. And I'm not talking big achievements, like I'm talking all the things that you have done that no one is going to give you a thank you for. I've kept the house tidy every day. I've kept on top of the washing. I've provided good food. These are things that like I write down because, again, no one's going to say thank you, but they mean a lot to me to have a clean, tidy house. And, you know, I that's an achievement. I've kept the kids alive. Oh my God, how, do you know what? I love a bit of alignment. I've filled up this whole thing basically. So I've just brought it here for reference, and I've opened it on a random Sunday page. And look what I have written in my last week I have achieved box. The first thing I've written was I filmed and edited my first podcast. Look how far we've come. Anyway, again, that's at that point, I mean, still at this point, no one's going to say, well, thank you for doing that, right? So, but it was an achievement for me, so I write it down. Next thing I have written was kept myself and the kids alive. Again, no one's going to say, oh, well done, you've kept yourself alive for another week, but quite frankly, it's a big achievement, right? So I write it down. I don't even know if I should read the next one. Oh my God, the shame of it. What a list to have picked out to give us bloody I should have written out a fake list for reference for you, but it literally says, had sex for the first time in a long time. And then it says, got my sexy back. Then it says, getting on better with Rocco. God, there's a lot of achievements going on this week. Jesus Christ, I can't believe I picked this list. Anyway, point is, this is probably a good example of what I mean about achievements. Like, obviously, needed to be getting on better with my son, and that would have been something as well I'd probably written like the week before that I wanted to try and make happen, so it's all relative. But yeah, that is what I'm talking about. You just need to write down your achievements for that week, all the stuff that no one's really gonna acknowledge or excuse me, clap for you for. You want to get that down. Next thing is you want to write a things you want to leave in last week list, right? And this has stemmed from, we used to have something in the old journals called the fuck it bucket, and it was literally, I just had a bucket on a page, and in it you could just write all the things you wanted to just fuck off, like, you know, fuck it. So this is kind of the mature version of that. And this header, so we've got, first header is last week I achieved, next header is things I want to leave in last week, right? I have written feeling inadequate and feeling financially challenged. I would never write broke. See that B word, yeah? The P word or the B word? Oh, I'm broke. Ever fucking write them, don't ever fucking say them. That's the only time you're going to hear that come out of my mouth. So I haven't written, I've written, I'm feeling financially challenged, right? That's what we call, in my group of friends, that's what we say. If we don't want to say, oh, we can't all go out for steak tonight because, you know, don't have the money, we just say, we're financially challenged. Like, that is it. Don't want to be putting those negative words into your life. Anyway, so I have just written that, and I've written a few other things which I genuinely actually can't read. That looks like I've written listening to sing Les Friends. You know what that says? Listening to single friends, because honestly I think this is the week I discovered you taking advice, like relationship advice, off of not only single people but single people who are dysfunctional in relationships. It's literally the blind leading the blind. So that was the week I was like, I'm leaving that, and I literally did. I do not ask my certain friends opinions on certain situations anymore. Anyway, so that is about things you want to leave in last week. And it can also be things like, you know, again, I was saying, like, I'm feeling inadequate. I wanted to leave that. Like, I don't want to be feeling shit, but sometimes it's good to acknowledge these things and just be like, I'm actually going to leave that where it belongs, in the fucking past and not a part of my life, right? Because we always have these things. I mean, bad things might be happening in your life and you might just want to, I don't know, I can't think of any examples because, again, this is your life, but just all the things that you just like, fuck this, like, don't want to think on this again, put this in this list. All right, this is your second list. Now your third list is it's your achievement list. We used to have like a wish list and a goal list, but really they're the same thing, right? And you just want to get really clear in your mind at the beginning of, end of each week for the beginning of the next week, what it is you hope to achieve, right? Now, I'm not saying everything's going to happen, because, for instance, as we've realised, like, as we've acknowledged this, when I've written this list in particular, I have written film and edit my first podcast. And then I've written in my achievement, like, things I want to achieve next week, I'm going to secure £20,000 of show sponsorship. Now, did you know how much sponsorship I actually managed to secure? Fucking zero. Like, Absolutely none. All right. But a couple of months on, I'm now making a bit of money from the podcast. So it's all relative. And like these things don't always happen, but it's about putting them out there. But there will be other things I have listed on this list that would have happened this week. Like, you know, some things, some especially bigger things, they take more time than others, right? But on this list, even though I've written I'm going to secure £20,000 of show sponsorship, which was honestly wild, I have then written cook dinner every day. Yeah. No takeaways until the weekend. And I know for a fact I have been I write that every week now because honestly, we all know my takeaway game is strong and it had to fucking stop. But I now do cook dinner every day. And this is something like I write regularly, like every Sunday, you're going to cook dinner every day, no takeaways till Friday, right? And it works. And certain things, like, do you know what is funny actually? There's something on here that says teach Kale how to read. Guys know our homeschool. Kale's my youngest. We're obviously coming to that time where we're learning how to read and doing phonics and all of that. And honestly, even though I didn't achieve that, since starting this podcast, so many things have changed. I've actually been able to get them back their tutor. And it's just made such a difference. That kid literally, I got a text the other day and he like read like the top bit of it and I was like, oh my God, oh my God, what have I done with these damn lists? But the point is, like, writing this stuff out, you don't necessarily know how it's even going to manifest, but just trust that it will, and trust that you putting it out there is the first step to it being able to manifest. Now, I'm not saying I didn't have to do anything. You think I'm going to sit here and secure 20 grand of sport? I didn't even fucking secure it, but that still took me effort. I still had to reach out to people and write proposals, and honestly the hardest thing about that was the rejection. Let's be fucking real, right? I've still had to go through all of that, and still I'm not seeing the results I want, but I'm not giving up and I'm still putting it out into the universe, and actually I'm starting to see growth in that area. All right. And so again, like, do expect actually, because a lot of this is down to your expectation, but I have learned to be a bit more, I hate the word realistic, but just a little bit more realistic in my expectations. But I'm not, because I've learned how much this actually works. I can write something like secure 20 grand sponsorship, it not happen, and I still have faith that it will happen. I don't care what you're delayed. Am I going to worry about that? No, I'm not. It's like when you order something offline, you expect it next day, it doesn't come till 4 days later, and it still fucking showed up. You just have to be a bit more patient, right? So I think writing this stuff out is very powerful, and you might not see instant results, but you want to start doing this. Like I'm telling you, this has been, and do you know what? The reason I wanted to do this podcast, because I did get some requests and can't fulfill them all. But when she was like, can you do one about the Sunday list? I thought yes, because this is one thing that I see so much power in. When I first learned about the law of attraction, there was so much to take on board. There were so many different things you should be doing. And a lot of things, some of the things were so like simple that I honestly didn't take them seriously. And to my detriment, to be honest. Things like writing stuff out. I thought that was so flipping silly and pointless and such a small thing to do because it was the easiest thing to do, let's be real. I was doing other things. I'm out like sacrificing period blood to the moon and shit. Like I'm doing really convoluted shit to manifest, right? Not realising that, I don't know, it could be all a little bit more simple. Anyway, these lists have been a game changer, and I realised that because the last couple of years I have been kind of off my game, and recently, since especially that Eminem kicking in, I've kind of got back on my game. Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought and tried to style it out. I was talking about how you manifesting things and then taking a bit longer. Oh fucking hell, I'm gonna have to actually edit this podcast. Do you know what the funny thing is? You've seen me, I look like this is a different podcast because I changed my hair and I put my jumper on. But if you listen to the podcast about Lottie's GoFundMe, this is 5 minutes after that, and I didn't do that thing where I said I was gonna eat some food and not smoke weed. In fact, I literally took a break to smoke yet another spliff and have just come back like, fuck the food. I just power through. I don't even know what the fuck I was saying. This has got to stop. This is a very jolly good sign. Do you know what? I'm writing on this week's list. Sort your fucking life out. That's what I'm going to do. Genuinely have no clue what I was fucking saying, which is devastating because I think it was, I say devastating, it's a bit of a large word for a silly situation, but I can't remember what I was saying. And that is so bothersome to me. If anyone's even still here, I'm sorry. Maybe I will acquire some editing skills and edit this out for the sake of everybody. But I'm going to have to sit for a minute and think what the hell I was talking about. Universe, please give me my thought back. Prove to everybody that you exist and I'm not insane and that this stuff works. I don't know what I was saying, but I do remember a little bit of it. A little bit. This last couple of years, I have not been on my game. Oh my God, I do know what I was saying. I was saying about the writing stuff and it being so insignificant, and or at least feeling insignificant, and me doing other really convoluted things to manifest. I've now realised these are the things these even though they're simple, they're the most powerful things to do. These are the things I've actually come to later on and then realised, bloody hell, how powerful they are. So this last couple of years where I've not been feeling so great, I have dropped off a lot of my own behaviours and things I had been doing for a very long time to make my life great. I've just stopped doing them, and writing these lists was one of them. Anyway, the last few months I've got back into writing these lists. I think literally since just before I started doing the podcast, I got back into writing the lists, and they have genuinely made such a difference. Honestly, I'm going to write on a list that I'm never going to fuck up a podcast again, and I'm always going to remember what I say, and I guarantee this will be the last time you see me have a kerfuffle like that. These lists are really, really powerful, and it doesn't have to be all about money. Like I'm saying, I'm writing on the list, you know, I'm just going to cook a dinner every day and keep the house tidy and keep peace between the children and be a good mum and make sure I can, and simple things as well, like I just always try and manifest that I always have enough, I'm always provided for, and I'm always protected. Like, because really that's, if you're always protected and provided for, you don't need to worry about anything else. And you do need to lean in a bit more to trusting the universe, especially when if you're new to all of this, it might seem really silly, but I'm telling you, you putting pen to paper, even if you can just do it once a week, will start to make such a big difference in your life. Anyway, so those are your three main headers, right? We've got last week I achieved, then we've got the things I want to leave in last week, and then we've got the things I will achieve next week. Now the final list, honestly, I think this is my favourite list. Genuinely, this was an addition to the lists we were writing over the years. We've been writing Sunday lists for a long time, and then I saw somebody talk about feeling goals versus like physical goals, because you've got all these physical goals. I'm like, I want to secure 20 grand of sponsorship. Okay, great. What is the feeling you're going to need to manifest to actually do that? Like, how do you need to feel to make that happen? So this is where the feelings list came from. And I literally now, once a week, just write a list of feelings I want to feel. And I'm going to read you this list. Remember, this is relative to this week that I'd written this, which I can now see was back in October 15th of the 9th. No, that's September. Shame. Anyway, so the thing I've just literally written, things I want to feel next week are capable, motivated, joyful, loved, whole, perfect, powerful, strong, content, in love with life, rich, empowered, clever, boss-like motherfucking gangster, in control of my life and my energy. I actually wrote that. But like, this is how I want to feel, right? And these feelings are all relative to what I want to achieve next week. I'm going to need to feel like a boss-like motherfucking gangster, in control, if I'm going to be securing sponsorship. Hell, I'm going to need to feel like that if I'm going to make dinner every day. Let's be fucking real, right? So these feelings, again, might seem silly, might seem insignificant, but they've really started to make a difference. And so now this is, again, something that I factor in. And that is literally it. The only other thing that I've got, if you can see the journals, I've got like a meal plan thing I struggle with. It's almost like every week it comes to dinner time and I can't remember what we've even ever eaten, even though I cook every day. I can't remember what anybody likes, and I fucking hate it. So I've got a meal plan thing in here, and it's just Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday through to Sunday, so you can put your meals. And I often I could only think of two things: shawarma, loaded fries, and lasagna. So yeah, that's what we ate that week. But I like to make a little list. But that is it. That is literally what is on the weekly list. I'm not saying do the meal plan, but those 4 headers: last week I achieved, things I want to leave in last week, things I will achieve next week, and things I want to feel next week. Spend 10 minutes, because honestly that's all it takes. It would probably be quicker for you to write this list than listen to this podcast. Such a small amount of time, such a small amount of effort. And like I said, do not underestimate these small things, because what I realised, that's another thing I was saying, God, my silly brain, the last couple of years, me kind of dropping off these habits in particular and now coming back to them, it's really highlighted how very important they are. And again, it's a simple thing. I don't need to sacrifice my blood to the moon anymore. Like, I'll just write a list once a week and everything's good. And again, these are the very simple things. And I know this works because I have got old writings, like just, again, when I couldn't even afford a journal, but I'd be writing on bits of paper, you know, I will make my yearly income my monthly income, and I shit you not, I eventually did that. It didn't happen in the week I fucking wrote it. Took probably a good 10 years. I'm gonna say 10 fucking years, right? But now what is my old yearly income, I can make in a month if I want to, which is wild to me even still now. And it's so funny, you get so used to this manifesting now. I'm like, I got to a place a little while ago, I'm not trying to brag, but when I first got into all of this, I'd written out a load of goals that were so at the time, like basically like, I'm like, chances of that, like secretly, even though I'm trying to believe in myself, I'm like, yeah, all right, monthly income, like yearly income in a month. You're like, yeah, whatever in it. You just write this stuff, and to now see it happen is fucking wild. But I got to a place where I'd literally achieved all my dreams and goals I'd ever had, because I'd never thought past what I thought at the time was. I was like, I'm going to be able to run my own business, earn enough money to work from home so I can raise my children and not give them to the government. I'm going to be able to afford to homeschool and have a tutor and have a nanny and have all these things. And I don't have a nanny anymore, but I did in COVID. Have all those things that were so fucking, you don't understand like how big that was for me to dream at the time. But the point is, I've now achieved all them things, and I'm like, well, not that it's not human nature to constantly want more. I'm like, well, what's next? Where do I go from here? And for a minute, I've just kind of been a bit at a standstill, because I never even thought that I would get to here. So now I'm like, well, I didn't think what's past this. How am I supposed to fucking know? And it's been a minute, like, and I mean, now I do know where I'm going. I know what the next thing is, but I think I'm more powerful because I'm content in the place where I am. And you know, that's the key to this whole manifestation thing. It's a fucked up thing. You wanting something but having no detachment or desire about it, like, really is very powerful. And that only comes naturally from having more. Like, so now I'm like, my old goals were so big, and so like I actually had to achieve them to just even achieve like a decent quality of life, that there was so much riding on it, that it took a lot of mustering that feeling of feeling okay and feeling content. I never felt content. I was trying to feel content. But now I'm in a really content place. I get to carry that. That's a very powerful frequency to carry, because I feel content. I feel great. So whatever's after this, I don't even care if my new goals do or do not happen. That's a powerful place to be. But it's taken a long time to get there. But if you've never heard about none of this and this is the first time you've been introduced to it, I strongly suggest you do some reading on the law of attraction. Start to understand. It's just one of the laws of the universe. Like, it is fucking real, and we are manifesting and materializing every day through what we speak, what we think, what we write. We're always experiencing what we are manifesting. All right, and it's so fucking interesting, and it's a lot to wrap your head around. It's a lot to accept, because I think to accept that the law of attraction exists, no, actually you don't have to accept it, it does exist, but for you to let it work in your life, you have to first acknowledge that you are essentially the fucking problem. Because with the law of attraction, it makes you realize that I had such a fucked up life when I discovered all of this, but it made me, I zoomed out and I was like, oh well, look who's the fucking problem. Like, it was me. It was always me, and it's always still me. I am my own biggest problem, and equally I'm my own biggest, what's the opposite to a problem? Cure, remedy. It's only me that has the power, and you get all this power through training yourself to be more positive. That's why now you'll hear people like my son call me, like, say toxic positivity, and I don't care, because thinking, speaking, writing in a certain way, in a positive way, makes all the fucking difference to your life, believe me. And like I said, if you're new to this, go and do some reading on it. Get yourself a journal or just a piece of paper, and start small. You don't need to be trying to do anything big. Start small. Look at, different areas of your life. Maybe you just had a baby and you want your baby to sleep through the night. I mean, that's not really what babies do, so that might be wild, but you can still use this stuff to, I don't know, will yourself into a better existence. Trust me, this works. Like I said, I am proof in that pudding. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this up. Like I said, this is a bit of a different podcast and a little bit shorter than normal, but thank you for listening. This podcast will be available forever, so you can go back and reference it when you want to do your Sunday list. And what I'm going to do in the bio is get Chat GPT, who I have stopped talking to but still need him to do my work. I'm going to get him to write just the lists out, so you guys don't actually have to watch the podcast every time if you need to reference this. And I will put the link to buy the digital copy of this. Like, I mean, you might want a hard copy on Amazon if you're balling. Chances are, if you're balling, you probably don't need to be doing all of this. But there's like a digital copy, and once you bought it, you can just print it off millions and millions of times. And in it, there's a lot more in it than these Sunday lists. There is actually, I forgot this is all in here. Do you know what? I've just forgotten this is in here. I've written all the laws in the universe. So it's not just the law of attraction. We've got the law of oneness, the law of vibration, the law of attraction, the law of action, the law of correspondence, the law of all the laws, basically. If you're interested in the laws, they're all listed in here with a little description about them. There's some law of attraction tips, like a guide, if you will. And there's a financial planner, right? So you've got a financial planner and a goal planner for the next, there's like few, I actually went deep because I'm just really into my planning, but there's like a 5-year plan, there's a 6-month plan, a 5-year plan, and a 10 to 15-year plan, because as we've established, I really like to plan. You've got your Sunday lists, and then you've got, as you go along, because this is what I'd like to do every day, is just like, as you can see, trying to manifest my 20 million. I just try and write a list every day because I find it really helps. And if you look at the everyday list is different to the Sunday list. The everyday list is simply, I write a to-do list, I write out my financial goal, I write an affirmation for the day, and then I write 3 things that I'm grateful for. And I just find those couple of things, again, it takes 5 minutes, but it puts you in the right mindset for the day. Do you know gratitude is like literally scientifically proven to improve your life? Because while you're busy thinking about all the things that you have to be grateful for, you're putting yourself in a better place, and you're also, it's just a very, very powerful thing to do. Look it up, it's science. Anyway, so that is the daily planner. And then towards the back, or the back of the pack, there is new moon intention pages, and there's full moon release pages, which you can write the craziest shit on and rip out and just throw away, and it's like there was no evidence. And then there's a few notes pages, and I think there's something else in here that is cool. Oh my god, there is something in here that's cool. The blank checks that you can write to yourself from the universe, and that's a bit more, again, this is stuff you'll think is crazy, but you'll be surprised. I will, this is a story for another day, but I wrote myself a check once and managed to manifest it. Did end up in court over fraud, not gonna lie, but still the manifestation was there, okay? Like, this shit works. Just be careful what you wish for. That I will say as well. Be very careful what you wish for, and be specific, all right? Don't just write, I don't want to be fat, right? I'm going to eat more healthily, I'm going to make better decisions, and I'm going to look after my body more. Like, be specific. The universe likes specifics. And I always use this as an example. This is like if you were trying to attract like a man into your life, which we all know that's literally the last thing I'm trying to fucking do. But if you were, you wouldn't want to write out, I want a boyfriend or I want a husband. Because first of all, you could just get anybody's boyfriend or husband. You don't want to do that. Second of all, you write that, the universe will just happily fling 10 dickheads at you, right? You need to be specific. I want a man who's loving and kind and rubs my feet and doesn't bother me or give me a headache, but also gives me orgasms, and gives me space, but also gives me cuddle. Like, you just need to be very specific with what is relative to you and what you want. That might not be your list of wants, by the way, but you need to be specific, all right? Keep it specific. The universe likes specifics, and I will just end on that. Be careful what you wish for, mate, because I will come back with some stories, but I have manifested lots in my life, and not all of it has been great, you know, but I still manifested it nonetheless. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for listening to this, and I will see you next week with, I don't even flipping know what at this point, but it will be great, or at least I'll try to make it, and I will see you all then.